Well, our band was a little slow to start this morning. Andy, welcome to Friday 15 with Master B2B. My name is Brian Beck. I'm here with Andy Hoar. Welcome to another Friday episode with our Friday 15. We got a good one today, Andy. Good morning.
Well, the band's on the road with you, and so that's part of the problem.
I know. Well, I think we're not paying enough for the union wages or something, so we only had half the band. Anyhow, welcome everyone to Friday 15. We've got a good session today. Talking again, hearkening back to our summit, some of the things that came up there. So we're excited about that. But of course, before we get into that, let's do our breaking news. Andy, we're talking all about AI. And last week we talked about how, folks are saying, hey, AI is changing society. And what was it? Bernie Sanders said the end of civilization or something. Well, apparently, some people think this is, taking this a little too far. There were attacks on Sam Altman's home, Molotov cocktails thrown at his house. Sam Altman's house was targeted, and then a second attack, several attacks, and this all happened right after we had our Friday 15. I'm sure we didn't have anything to do with it, but what's your reaction here?
As I said, the FBI is curious. There's no connection here.
Yes, right.
But I thought it was interesting for us to talk about because we literally talked about this last Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday or Monday, this happened. Yep. And we chatted about this. It is changing society. It's going to create trillionaires out of this. And there's just no way that isn't going to have some impact on society. First of all, there are people out there who feel aggrieved by all this stuff. You've got, a bevy of kind of people who are probably psychologically challenged. Throw all that into a big pot. Plus, it's the funny part, not funny, but ironic part about this is these guys are in the information business. So everything is pretty knowable, including, I don't know if you remember this a couple of years ago, Elon Musk was upset about the fact that there was a site that would track where his plane was going.
Oh, really? No, I hadn't
because
heard
you have to file a flight pattern. And there was this guy who built a website that said, where is Elon Musk going? And it was tracking his private jets around the country. And I think he even sued to have that information blocked, but you can't because it's available to the public because it's a public service, knowing where
planes are. Do this stuff, man. Who cares?
No, but I'll throw that all together. I mean, add it all together, and we already had that healthcare CEO be shot. Right. So there's going to be something, sadly, that's going to happen here. And I just thought it was really coincidental. We talked about this last week. And then that happens with Sam Altman. So
crazy. Let's keep it civilized, folks, and keep the debates to debates here. So, I mean, it's crazy. So we'll obviously, continue to watch AI. And we're going to talk, of course, a little bit about AI today. But before we do that, just a quick public service announcement. Our forum, folks, is open and available to practitioners. In fact, I'm seeing 2 or 3 great posts today talking about different things people need help with and people responding to those things, specific challenges they're having. This is a practitioner-only online community. It's called our forum. You go to our website, masterb2b.com, click on forum, and there's no cost to join it. We have a lot of folks in there, hundreds and hundreds of folks in there, talking about issues, looking for people to hire, talking about platforms and all different kinds of technologies, marketing tools, et cetera. They're trying to identify. These are just we're showing on the screen here for those you can see it. Some of the folks who are in the forum today. So very really great place for our practitioners. Encourage you to take a look and join that. Just go to our website, submit your application. All right, Andy. Today we're talking about one of our summit. It wasn't a roundtable. It was one of our table topic discussions where we had about an hour and a half of folks talking about different topics at tables in at our summit. One of them was, what are the most overhyped and underhyped issues in B2B e-commerce? And this was fascinating because you get bombarded as a e-commerce executive, and I lived that world for almost 20 years with hype, and also with things that are real, and you have to discern which one's which, right? You have to figure out what do you pay attention to and what don't you? What is real and what's a shiny object? And this is a challenging area for folks. And we had this these discussions openly, and that's what I love about our summit. Very transparent discussions, people talking about these issues and sharing what's working, what's actually driving some ROI. And we found some really interesting trends here. What did we hear, Andy, that was overhyped?
Well, first of all, we have to talk for people who can see the screen. I was trying to think about what could we do to represent overhyped and just to have a little fun. Y2K is up there. Remember
That's
that?
right. Yep.
Remember the segue and how when they first, in the lead up to it being announced, people were talking about the it was people were suggesting that it was an anti-gravity device that you'd be able to fly. I mean, there was all sorts of stuff. And then he had to come out and say, no, Dean Cain said, no, it's none of that stuff. But he had to do it without, revealing what it was. Then, of course, there's WeWork. That was going to change the world, didn't? And then my all-time favorite, the Blair Witch Project. When that movie was coming out, people were talking about, oh, is this footage that somebody found? And God, it was all crap.
It's not? Oh, no.
This is really a Gen X sort of thing. For the Gen Yers and the Gen Zers, they probably haven't heard of any of this stuff, but that was back in the day. So in terms of what we heard at the event, Gen AI in general, people thought was overhyped. Now it's funny, we're going to talk about this in a moment because AI was on both lists, really. But more specifically, what was overhyped was the fact that AI was going to save everybody a bunch of time. And I love this quote that was captured. It said, AI allows us to go from 9 to 5 to 24/7. So people are just filling more time with more work, and it was supposed to reduce the amount of work. The other thing is the idea that AI was going to just be able to finish the job. And somebody said AI can get you 50 to 90% faster than ever, which is a value. But the challenge is that last 10%. And so that's where humans are going to be involved at the beginning and definitely at the end. So again, this is the part of AI that people thought was overhyped. And the last one, and this has been around for a while, but I think we finally put a pin in it, is this idea of starting your own marketplace. Remember from like 2 years ago, everybody's going to start a marketplace. There are still people out there talking about that. I don't know. I think that has faded. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think not everyone can be Jeff Bezos, right? But certainly there have been some success stories in marketplace. But I recall 3 or 4 years ago, it was sort of everyone wanted to start a marketplace, and so we pulled that out at the summit, and a lot of folks are rethinking it because of the amount of effort that's required to successfully do it. And we have folks like Schneider Electric and others that have successfully launched marketplaces, but it's a lot of work and it's a major commitment. And it's not just tech either. So yeah, I would agree with you, Andy, on the marketplace side. I mean, it's in concept.
It's become queer. It's really for large manufacturers. That I've always said that was I had a debate about this once. I always said that you get manufacturers and distributors, large and small. The one group that a marketplace is best positioned for is a large manufacturer, and the least viable marketplace creator is a small distributor. You have to be able to have critical mass. You have to be able to be a destination site. So I just think what's happened is reality is set in on that one.
I still don't fully agree with you on that, but because I think the distribution model actually benefits from having more inventory on a marketplace. That said, I think the bigger issue, rather than the business model, is the amount of effort that's required to make it work. Because it's not just it's a sales effort. You got to get suppliers, you got to do fulfillment, you have to control that side of the experience. It's a very difficult model to execute. And so
I'll bite my lip on this because it's another discussion. A distributor is a marketplace. That's what a distributor's model is.
All right, we can have a debate about it if you want, but it's the distributor. Well, anyway, the distributor's model is bringing endless aisle inventory to a buyer. So having the inventory available is critical to their business. Anyway, we'll do this on another one, Andy.
We will.
Maybe we'll do this one at one of our in-person events. That'd be fun. Okay, so what was underhyped? What isn't getting enough hype, enough attention? And do share some of the anecdotal stories from society here, Mr. Hoar. Blockbuster, maybe.
Yeah, would be a good example here. Well, actually, Netflix has died more deaths than you can possibly imagine. Remember, it was a joke as a Well, look at it now. Right. I mean, Reed Hastings, ironically enough, just announced yesterday he's stepping down. The stock went down like 8%. But You know,
Saw that.
Netflix has reinvented itself multiple times. It's changed the world in many ways. You know, everybody's got Netflix everywhere in the world. So that I would say was underhyped. I remember when people pronounced them dead like 15 years ago. So they've struggled on that one. GLP-1s for sure. When that first came out, people were like, oh, nobody's going to use that. I think I read something like 20% of Americans are now on GLP-1s. It's ridiculous.
Right.
And then my favorite is Starlink. So SpaceX is going public later this year, right? Starlink is responsible for the majority of the revenue of that company. And here's a technology that literally has changed the world because I don't know if you saw this. I was going to do this as our breaking news, but Amazon just bought a competitor to Starlink.
Saw that.
And now what they're saying is this is going to completely disrupt internet service because who needs terrestrial internet service, at least at the same degree? You can just use Starlink or now Amazon Leo and access the stuff everywhere. The prices are very competitive, which really amazes me and galls me a little bit that the government spends so much time regulating, you know, AT&T and all that kind of stuff. And now Starlink comes along and they've blown the whole model
Renders
up.
it all irrelevant. Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, so what did we hear at our summit, Andy?
Yeah. So number one answer we heard was product data. And somebody said it's the oil that lubricates everything else. And I think that's probably a good description of it. AEO, GEO, that one's coming fast. People really focused on SEO. I remember you and I talking about AEO, GEO last year, and it has moved quickly because it's now become arguably as if not more important than SEO in probably less than a year.
I'm actually hearing, I mean, this is all about what's being underhyped, but I'm hearing more and more. I'd argue that this hype level is coming up, even in the last couple of months since our summit. But yeah, definitely AEO, you know, answer engine optimization, replacing SEO, right, as a way to market.
Yeah, because it matters more to be in ChatGPT and all those other places, Gemini, than it does to be on the organic search results or even the paid search results on, I don't know, Bing. Payment terms. That's another one that has been, you know, I think actually that one has flown below the radar for a while. And we have this at our events when we talk about it, when we have companies like Credit Key and TreviPay there. People are like, oh, I've heard about this. What exactly is that? I'm like, you know, most contractors buy things on terms. Businesses don't just have cash sitting around. And so this used to be you would have to fill out a form, fax it in, wait 3 weeks to be approved for credit. It was ridiculous. Now, these companies can do this instantly. And so it does really beg the question, why don't more companies do this? I don't understand.
It's not only that, Andy, if you think about this, the efficiency of delivering a customer experience, I mean, think about the you know, the process a company has to go through to get credit. I mean, it could take weeks. Fax us the form, fax, or email us, or fill this out and email us these forms. Like,
meanwhile, they just move on. Like, I'm not going to spend 3 weeks. I need to buy this now.
Right. I'll go buy on
credit cards.
Yeah.
Or credit cards, right? Oh, just use your credit card. I'm not going to use a credit card for a $20,000 building materials purchase. You know, it's just, anyway. And then the last one is an oldie but a goodie, which still remains underhyped. And it keeps popping its head up, is self-service. As somebody said, because younger buyers don't want to talk to anyone. I mean, I can't believe we're having this conversation and saying that basically self-service digital commerce is underhyped.
I know, it's true though. It's true. I mean, this is the stuff that's not quote unquote sexy, like AI, like the image content creation and the video create. I mean, this is foundational. And by the way, AI can help in these things, right? But so customer self-service, you know, easing friction throughout the whole buying process and credit, self-service, things like that. Where's my order? All the basic stuff, right? Not there still with a lot of B2B companies. So we want to bring in the someone who is always with us. He's omnipresent. He is to make comments and to give us some color commentary. Mr. Jared Blank with Master B2B. He is our Jared. What do we call you? You are nameless. You do everything. You are
like my last name. It's nameless. Yeah,
that's right.
That's on purpose.
Jared Blank.
Welcome, he's Jared. In an undisclosed location too, which is worth noting.
That's right. He's He's in front of the the closet to eternity or something. Anyway, Jared, you ran the roundtable, the table topic discussion at our summit on this topic. Tell us, sir, did we get it right? What did you hear? What was interesting? What jumped out at you?
Yeah. So what was interesting was if someone started the conversation by saying AI was overhyped, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's overhyped. Ah. And if someone said, no, you know what? I actually think it's underhyped. It's made such a difference in something we're doing. Like, oh yeah, it's underhyped. And so AI is whatever you want it to be, like that picture where if you look at it, it's either a witch or a horse or whatever it is, like depending on how you see it. That is AI is that.
Interesting. Right. So, I mean, everyone wants it to be something.
Everyone really wants it to be something. I love someone said, our company is all in on AI, but we haven't really thought through the repercussions of that. And I was thinking we're all in on, I've got a microphone right here. We're all in, we're shifting only to selling microphones. Oh, what microphone? Oh, I don't know. We don't make microphones. Like how are you all in if you have not thought through the repercussions? Isn't the all in the thinking through the repercussions? Like, how do you do either?
It's kind of like saying, yes, I'm getting ready to get married. I just don't know who to whom or what exactly.
Yeah, it is exactly like that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So Jared, what surprised you most? I mean, was there anything that, stood out to you as like, hey, I didn't expect to hear that. Any of the, whether it was on our slides or not?
Yeah, if you look at what we listed in that slide as underhyped, it's all the basics. Oh, product data. But first of all, how is that underhyped? If you're in B2B, e-commerce, how is that underhyped? As the two of you once did a session that was the $1 trillion data probably. How much more hyped can it be than $1 trillion? That feels very hyped. But yet still, the basics of product data, self-service, the SEO and whatever you want to call it now, payment terms, that's still, I think there's just so much noise about what you, I'm making quote marks, should be doing, that people who focus on the basics realize that, oh, the basics will get you quite far, and we know how to do those things, and there's infrastructure, and there's budget. Maybe it's time to go back to that and then figure out where we can layer on a bit of AI to make a difference.
Was there anything that wasn't asked or mentioned that you thought should have been, or you were surprised wasn't part of the discussion?
Yeah, we didn't talk that much about generative AI, which was probably a year ago when we talked about AI. What we were talking about, like, oh, you can create all this content, and I think maybe that's happening. That it's happening a bit, but I think the process stuff is where people are really focused on it, where you can make a difference on. Oh, if we can integrate AI into this workflow of getting a product online, or sending out an email, or certainly customer service, it feels like the bigger short-term impact is around process improvements. And I really don't hear so much about the generative stuff in the way that we did, 18 months ago.
Yeah. Interesting. Were some of the other fundamental front-end stuff like search or platforms, any of that stuff?
That didn't come up at all. And I think it's so interesting that really in the 2 days we were there, I'm not sure I had a conversation about e-commerce platforms. I'm not sure I overheard a conversation about e-commerce platforms. It is either now just you take what you've got and it's fine because you can layer on so much on top of it that for the most part, if you have replatformed in the past 7, 8, 10 years, you tell me, Andy, that you've got something that probably works well enough that you can improve upon it rather than having to rip it all out.
We had a discussion about that. It was about getting more out of your existing investment in your platform. There's not a huge appetite, and it's not as much for the price, but the time. Because if it takes 3 to 4 years to implement a platform, one of the classic platforms, my God, how's the world going to change in the next 3 to 5 years? I mean, ChatGPT was launched like 3.5 years ago, and look what's changed about that. It's impossible, especially if you subscribe to the notion that's increasing an increasing rate. People aren't willing to make long-term investments that lock them in. Interesting. And but back to the AI thing, I do find it interesting. I think, what is that old phrase? Like, where you stand, where you sit depends on where you stand, or where you stand depends on where you sit. I think that's what's going on here. For people who appreciate and understand the value of AI, it's underhyped. For people who don't really understand or appreciate the value of it, it's overhyped.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing that was interesting. So one of the folks I won't call out was speaking at our table and was talking about a bunch of stuff they were doing with AI. And someone was like, "How did you get that through your leadership team?" And he said, "Oh, I just don't tell them." And so I think part of the underhyped is, well, if you can just do whatever you want, it is very powerful. And if it's overhyped, maybe you're in a company that's like, let's put the brakes on this. I'm not comfortable from a security standpoint. We've got to inch along and be careful. So it is both things. It can do so many things, but also companies of any size really are thinking about, oh, how much do I really want it doing without me fully knowing? So I can see how you end up on both sides.
All right, gentlemen, let's get your reaction to this poll here. We asked our question, what's the most underhyped trend in B2B digital commerce in 26? Number one, solving the data problem. There you go, Jared, right? You said, wow, how is this not underhyped? Anyway, so double negative, yes. We also asked, AEO, digital self-service, alternative payments. People thought that was, pretty, the same. Everyone said, hey, they're not underhyped, but data problem, underhyped. Reactions?
It will always be underhyped, because how much is it? I think the question is like, is this even fixable? And so what does the problem mean? And what pieces do you break this down into so that at the end of the year, you feel like you've addressed it? It always feels, now we've had 4 summits, I believe. It's the 4th summit, and every summit has really on the foundation been about improving your data. So how has there been no improvement?
Right, exactly.
It kind of reminds me in sports of the idea of defense. Everybody says, hey, we need better defense. We got to invest in our defense. Our defense needs to be better. It always has to be better, right? I mean, offense comes and goes, right? You miss shots, you don't, whatever, but you can always play defense. So a lot of this stuff that's underhyped is just blocking and tackling.
Yeah.
It just is, and that's what Amazon, by the way, really does well. We don't give them enough credit for that. I know when I've had conversations with them about, what their innovation consists of, it's rarely big stuff. It's a lot of small stuff. It's removing friction. So instead of taking 18 steps, it takes 17 or 12 or 9. And that stuff is blocking and tackling, but it's not sexy, as we said earlier. And it's not something to do a press release about.
Right. Small incremental changes. All right. Well, Jared, we got to leave it there for time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Being our guide, our shepherd in our production here, and everything else you do for us, Jared. Thank you.
For the record, we went long this week because of Jared.
That's right.
Make that clear.
No, he's back.
I should cut you off at 15 minutes, but that felt rude because I was a guest in that case.
Thank you, Jared. Anyway, a quick public service announcement, folks. I want to remind everyone we have our Nexus service. Nexus is your personal digital lifeline. It provides very fast access to an amazing panel of experts, former practitioners, as well as your peers. We connect you to offer advice. We also are now assisting with project work, where we'll source consultants for you, as well as interim and full-time executives. So it's really a wonderful service. Chris Gurman runs that for us, former exec at Gardner. So to go to our website, Master B2B, check out Nexus. It is a paid service for practitioners. So check that out. And finally, I want to remind everyone that our Friday 15 is available in podcast form on your favorite podcast service, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, our website, etc. So check that out. And please give us a rating and review. It helps quite a bit. Andy, any final words before we break for our Friday 15?
No.
Wow. Listen to that. He's not going to say a word. Excellent. So, folks, we will see you next week on our next Friday 15. Thanks for joining.